All right. So today we're going to be proving congruent or angles that are congruent. I know you're thinking, oh my gosh, proofs. It'll be okay. We'll get through them. We'll just touch on them a little bit. This is the last lesson of this chapter. And then you get a little break from them. We'll do the quiz and the test. And then we'll really hop into proofs next chapter. So give you a little taste. It'll be okay. And then it's going to be awesome. We're going to get into these and you're going to end up loving them. It'll be good. So, start here with the kickoff. What property of equality or congruence that justifies each statement? So, we were using these properties last time to prove how we work through algebra problems. Giving you a little taste of proofs. We're going to keep building. We'll keep you in more and more. It'll be good. So, name the property of equality or congruence that justifies each statement. This statement here, angle K is congruent to angle K, is reflexive. All right. So, first theorem, vertical angles theorem, theorem 2-1, is that vertical angles are congruent. Those opposite angles, so like 1 and 3, are going to be congruent angles if they're vertical. Same thing with 2 and 4. This is going to be a one we're going to use a lot as we get into proofs because they're easy things to look and go, yep, I know those are congruent. Plus we have this theorem, and we're going to prove it here with a paragraph proof. So paragraph proof is just one of the different ways that we're going to prove different things. Typically, we're going to do a 2-column proof, but we'll worry about that more next chapter. Here's a paragraph proof. So all proofs are going to start the same. You're going to have a given statement and a proved statement. You're always going to start with the given. Given that 1 and 2 are vertical angles, and you're going to end up with a proof. In this case, angles 1 is congruent to angles 2. Now, this one here doesn't quite match this up here, so I'm going to rephrase this. So this will be angle 3, and this will be angle 2. Just so that it matches what our proof is. So with the paragraph proof, we're going to write out sentences. So by the angle addition postulate, we know that angles 1 and 3 are going to be 180. 1 and 3 form a straight line, so they're going to be 180. And we know that measure of angle 2 and angle 3 add together, so these two will also be 180, because they're, again, going to form a straight line. If we add their parts, they equal the total. If they make a straight line, we know they're supplementary, therefore they're 180. So, by substitution, since we both know that both of these are 180, we're going to set them equal to each other. So the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 3, the first one here, is going to be equal to the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3, the second one. Well, if you notice, both of them have a measure of angle 3. So if we subtract the measure of angle 3 from both sides, that's going to cancel that out. And you're going to be left with the measure of angle 1 equaling the measure of angle 2. So in other words, angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. We've proved it. We're good to go. Now, nice thing is you're not going to have to prove this theorem again. Once it's proven, we don't have to keep doing it. It's proved. We're good. We can use it, and we can go forward. So, knowing that vertical angles are congruent, we can solve problems like this. Find the value of x if angles 1 and 2 are vertical angles, with the measure of angle 1 being 4x, the measure of angle 2 being 3x plus 35. So if they're congruent, we can set them equal to each other. So the measure of angle 1 would be equal to the measure of angle 2. So 4x would equal 3x plus 35. We'd subtract the 3x over. So x is going to equal 35. Simple as that. Okay. So if we look at what's each angle going to be? Well, if we take 4 times 35. 4 times 35, 4 times 5 is 20. Another 2. 4 times 3 is 12, so 140. What about the other pair of angles? Well, we know they're going to be supplementary with those other ones. So 140, if we start with 180, which is supplementary, subtract the 140, we're going to be 40 degrees here. So adjacent angles are going to be supplementary. Yes, they are. So we have then theorem 2-2, the congruent supplements theorem. So if two angles are supplements of the same angle, or of congruent angles, then we know the two angles are going to be congruent. Now, we're going to set this up just like the last one. So we're going to start with, by definition, well, what do we know? Well, if we know 1 and 2 are supplementary, we know the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 is going to be 180. And we know that 3 and 2 are supplementary. So the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 is also going to be 180. So kind of cutting it off there. So equals 180 is what I have there. All right. So if we know that, well, again, they're both equal to 180. So we can say by substitution, we know that the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 would be equal to the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3. So where is our overlap? Well, our overlap is angle 2. So we're going to say subtract angle 2, the measure of angle 2, from each side. We're going to use these three little dots. These three little dots mean therefore. So when we're proving things, we're going to end with our therefore, saying, okay, this is our proof then. We've shown enough stuff. So therefore, the measure of angle 1 equals the measure of angle 3, and angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. And we're done. So, paragraph proof. We're still working through, we're starting with what we're given, and we're building off of that. We're going to end with what we're proven. We're writing it out in sentences, describing what's going on. And there we go. So, last few things is we have three more theorems. Now, we're not going to prove these three, but we're going to talk about it here. So, theorem 2-3, congruent complements theorem. If two angles are complements of the same angle or of congruent angles, then the two angles are congruent. And that's something that you'd prove it the exact same way that we've done it. Theorem 2-4, all right angles are congruent. They're all 90 degrees, they're all the same measure, they're all going to be congruent. And theorem 2-5, if two angles are congruent and they're supplementary, then we know each is a right angle. So again, congruent, they're same angles. Supplementary, they add to be 180. So if they're the same angle, they're each half of 180, so they have to be 90. 90 is a right angle, and that's that theorem. So let me know if you have any questions. Remember, you can always pause and write stuff down or rewind it, watch them again. Let me know if you have any questions. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.